Well, I know you may have heard this story before about the three Southern belles. They're sitting on the porch in the rocking chairs talking about their lives, and the one just had a 21st birthday, and she said it was the best birthday of her life because my daddy set up a trust fund for me to give me several $1,000,000 a year for the rest of my life. And the other one sitting over there fanning herself says, "Isn't that special?" The next one says, "Well, my daddy, just when we got married, he sent us on a honeymoon around the world for a year while he was building a new custom home for us on 20 acres. The one on the end says, fanning herself says, "Isn't that special?" And so they're quiet for a while, and finally the other two say to the one, "Well, what has your daddy done for you?" She says, "Oh, my daddy, he sent me to charm school. To charm school. He taught me how to say, 'Isn't that special?' instead of 'What the heck?'" So there you go. Well, I want to talk a little bit today about difficult people, difficult conditions, difficult experiences. We've heard that we're supposed to accept people and things as they are, right? Because then they'll improve. But isn't that stressful sometimes? I mean, haven't you just wanted to choke them? And maybe if you find yourself in an uncomfortable, even intolerable situation, what do you do? And how often have you just, lost your cool over something and thrown your hands up in frustration and saying, "There's just nothing that can make this better," or "There's just no way out of this experience." But today I have for you a way that you can quickly transform those kinds of experiences. Who here wants to create happy results in their life? Oh, good. So I have a good audience today. Well, there's a simple but powerful way to bring greater good into your life, and it works to improve every phase of your life if you use it, if you practice it. Plus, it's really fun, easy, and cool to use. And so this morning, I just want to remind us of this spiritual practice so that we can use it more often. And what is this secret power, this spiritual practice that can quickly transform stressful situations into right outcomes? It's one of the best spiritual practices for easy, peaceful, happy living. And it is, drum roll please, the art of blessing. Blessing your circumstances, blessing the people, blessing the condition. Like our Southern belle, we've all spoken the words, "Bless you," or "Isn't that special?" God bless you. But sometimes I think we don't realize, we know in unity the power of the spoken word. But sometimes I don't think we realize the power of the spoken word to bless and how that can shift and transform circumstances very, very quickly. What I have for you today are two ways that you can use the power of blessing to transform areas of your life and conditions and circumstances. And we're going to look at the blessing of divine guidance and the blessing of divine love. So it's two ways to use blessing to transform conditions in your life. If there's something in your life right now, which we seem to have said 3 or 4 times already in this service today, but if you came in with something on your heart today that's going to need divine guidance, a decision you need to make, if you came in with something on your soul that needs the blessing of divine love, a relationship, the healing in your body, whatever it is, just let your mind and heart be open and receptive to the circulation of the Christ consciousness that's happening in this room right now, that the chaplains hold here for us every week, and let that transforming energy be moving in you as we move forward in our message. To bless means to make holy or whole by spoken word, to ask divine favor for some person or situation or condition. And not only does blessing bring holiness and favor, I love that, divine favor. In the South, they always say, "She favors her sister," or "You favor something," you favor. Anyway, blessing is to bestow or call favor or wellness into a situation. And, I love this, it's the natural language of spirit. When you speak blessing, you are anointing and flowing the words of spirit. It's a highly accelerated mind action. It syncs your mind with the Christ mind, And when you have to bless your circumstances, it causes you to look for the good in the experience. You have to pick out something to feel good about, pick out something to lift up in consciousness. So it causes you to look for and bless the good in everyone and everything. When we speak words of blessing for our lives, for health, for prosperity, success, happiness, or peace, our words move in the invisible realm, in the ethers, as Charles Fillmore called it. And it forms conditions, the conditions we're describing. I bless you with health. I bless you with happiness. I bless you with love. Those words stir in the invisible realm, it moves on substance, it forms the good that we're describing, and then it manifests it. So it doesn't stay in the invisible realm. There's a transfer of the blessing from the invisible realm of spirit into the practical, visible reality, physical reality of your life. There's a theory that for every 15 minutes of study and prayer work that you do, you should spend 5 minutes speaking words of blessing out loud. Catherine Ponder is a tremendous advocate of the power of the spoken word. And she used to just, one time when she came to speak at Christ Unity, if you remember when we were down on L Street, upstairs were the offices, and she was upstairs waiting to speak, and I don't know who it was that came in on her, but she was walking back and forth, declaring out loud words of blessing and words of love and words of whatever, using the power of the spoken word prior to her message on Sunday. So for every 15 minutes of inspirational reading and study that you do, speak those words out loud, because it's the power in our throat at the root of the tongue that forms the invisible energies, that as we speak those words out, it gives power, it gives form and shape. It's the first place that your desire appears in the physical realm, is in the power of the spoken word. Second place is when you write it down. But the first place your dream shows up in your life is when you speak it. When it shows up in the external, moves out of your mind into the external realm. The first place that shows up is in the word that you speak about it, or the blessing that you give it. Emmett Fox says, "Bless a thing and it will bless you. Curse and it will curse you. If you put your condemnation upon anything in life, it will hit back at you and hurt you. If you bless a situation, it has no power to hurt you, and even if it is troublesome for a time, it will gradually fade out of your life if you sincerely bless it." Haven't you experienced that? Just bless it. Bless those troublesome people, those troublesome conditions, those troublesome situations. And if you curse them and criticize them and are frustrated, you're just like the Tasmanian devil, spinning around in your own negative energy. Whatever situation in your life needs to be changed for the better, it has been proven time and time again that blessing moves on the invisible substance to construct positive change. So let me give you 2 ways that we can confer the power of blessing on our lives or on the lives of those that we love. And the first one is to decree a blessing of divine guidance. If you need to make a decision in some matter, if there's something on your heart this morning that you're concerned about, you don't know what to do, you don't know where to find the right help, you don't have to try to figure it out and reason it through in the intellectual human mind. Just ask for a blessing of divine guidance on the situation, and then release the matter, and you'll be shown what to do. And it's that, you can confer divine guidance and then let go. And isn't it that standing and waiting? That's the faith walk that we all have to do, standing and waiting. Catherine Ponder tells the story of when she was ordained as a minister. She'd been living in North Carolina and then was offered an opportunity to accept the ministry in Birmingham, Alabama, which is where she really got her start. But at the time, she was divorced and had a young son, and she was on a road trip back to North Carolina, and she really didn't know what to do. And the board of directors had made her an offer. They were considering several candidates. She needed to make a decision and make it quickly. And so she said she stopped at a little roadside cafe, and she was just kind of in the question of, what should I do? Should I take this job? Should I start serving in this way? And she said she made a declaration: "Father, Mother, God, bless this situation with divine guidance. Make the truth about this situation so plain and clear that I cannot mistake it. And she said, then she kind of sat there for a moment, and she realized in the little cafe, in the background, the song that was playing on the speaker was "The Stars Fell on Alabama." And so she said, well, okay, I guess that gives me my answer. Father, Mother, God, bless this situation with divine guidance. Make the truth about this situation so plain and clear that I cannot mistake it. Now, here's the little parentheses for you. When you ask for divine guidance and you ask for it to be made clear, I've done that a lot of times, and then I get bonked in the head with the cosmic 2x4, right? So you want to ask for the guidance to be revealed in a lovely way, not in a cosmic 2x4 to the head, you know. You're with me on that? We've all had that experience. So take a moment, let's put our hands on our hearts, and if there's something in your life, a decision you need to make, a concern, and just, I confer a blessing of divine guidance. Together, I confer a blessing of divine guidance. Your soul can hear you. Your soul can hear you. The Spirit of God, Christ's Spirit, can hear you. You're opening the way. You're opening the way. Make it a practice to bless anything that concerns you. So many times I have struggled in that frustration and despair of needing to make a decision. And, you know, they say your emotions pull you in one way and your intellect pulls you in the other. And you know from past experience that neither one can be trusted to guide you aright. But you confer divine guidance. I remember, oh yeah, I can ask God. I can ask God for divine guidance. Say, bless me. Bless me with divine guidance. Bless me with the truth about this situation. Bless me with the answer. Bless me with your guidance for the highest good of all concerned. And you can feel that move in and through us as we're here today. Along with asking for guidance, it's sometimes wise to ask for the blessing of divine intelligence. This is a little bit different than guidance because the mind of Christ, in the mind of Christ is infinite intelligence. Our mind is one with the mind of Christ, and that intelligence longs to work for us and through us. And so by speaking a blessing for divine intelligence, we connect with the superconscious mind of Christ, with the infinite intelligence in the mind of Christ. And so when things seem to be going wrong, or when some business or condition is deadlocked and stuck, you know, you can confer a blessing of divine intelligence to guide you out of that stuckness, to produce a solution. When you're up against a wall with no apparent way out, you can confer a blessing of divine intelligence to produce perfect results, or to produce a solution. For your health, for your finances, for your relationships, you can confer a blessing of divine infinite intelligence, and then get still and open your mind. I often like to think of it as like a V at the top of my head, and allow an infilling of spiritual light. For those of us that know God is omnidirectional, you can let the light come up from out of you. In either direction is fine, but I like to do a little V and see myself just filled with the light of Christ, the illumination of Spirit, and that infinite intelligence moving in and through me and then out from me to the condition that I need a decision about, or a solution, or an answer. I now confer upon you the blessing of divine intelligence. You can say to any condition, anything for which you need a solution, I now confer upon you the blessing of divine intelligence. There is an answer. Divine intelligence shows me the perfect answer to this problem now. So again, let's just take a moment and work with these principles this morning. Put your hand on your heart if that's good for you. And I confer divine intelligence upon this situation. Together, I confer divine intelligence upon this situation. Our spiritual principles are only as good as when we use them, as we work them, A second way to confer the power of blessing is one of the most powerful blessings you can speak, and that's one that declares the blessing of divine love. God is love. There's nothing more powerful that you can speak. And again, to confer the power of divine blessing, divine love, the blessing of divine love, it releases a high-powered energy that instantly is felt and responded to by people. Everything responds to love, right? The animals, the plants, people instantly respond to divine love. I bless you with divine love. I bless you with divine love. Speak that to those employees, those co-workers, and those troublesome people, and those troubled children and troubled in-laws, and whoever it is. I bless you with divine love. And certain words used persistently do release a mind power that molds conditions. And love is one of those that will just absolutely come like a machete and cut out anything in your life that isn't the perfection of spirit. So you have to be careful as you use it, right? So it will dissolve hate, resistance, opposition, anger. We want all of that. We want all of that. But it will also purify and perfect everything in your life. And so again, you have to be ready for it when you're using these blessings. You have to be ready for the results and open to receive the results. If you're going through a period where your prayer doesn't seem to be getting an answer, where it seems to be stalled, or you're praying because something hurtful has happened in your life, some hurtful experience has occurred, you may need to confer the blessing of divine love in order to get unstuck, or to release that healing balm that can mitigate that hurt and forgive that hurt and lift it up. Our eternal purpose is to express love, and this is one of the greatest lessons that this mind, this intellect has to learn, that we are spiritual beings, and we have wisdom and intellect, but we have feelings and love, and the two have to work together. And when we're working in the intellect all the time, you can get your life out of balance. And so confer a blessing of divine love to bring yourself back into a balance. It will majestically and magnetically and mystically draw all the goodness, all of God's goodness into your life. So you can say, I confer a blessing of divine love. Divine love is doing its perfect work in this situation now for the good of all concerned. Divine love goes before me and prepares the way. I call on the blessing of divine love to work any miracle that needs working in this experience, because love is a miracle-working power. Let's confer it. I confer divine love on this experience. Together, I confer divine love on this experience. And feel after that. I confer divine love on this experience, this person, this circumstance. I've shared this story with you before where in Nashville I lived in a cul-de-sac with 6 homes. So it was a small cul-de-sac. And the house next door to me, the owners passed away and the children inherited the house and argued over it, or argued over the inheritance for 3 or 4 years while the house sat abandoned. And then finally one of the sisters bought the other 3 out, and she just left the house sit abandoned. So it had been sitting abandoned for about 5 years. So in your mind, you can see what an abandoned property left for 5 years looks like, right? Bad, 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 bad. So it was interesting because, of course, the yard was a mess. The bushes were overgrown. The owners, the neighbors had written the homeowner. We had a homeowners association, and they had written about there's a clause of unsightliness in houses, and they would fine them. But the fine was only $25, and so they just kept being fined, and it was added on to their homeowners' dues, and nothing was ever done. And finally, there were a couple of birch trees in between my driveway and theirs. And the birch trees had grown up so tall they were beautiful, but the limbs had drooped over my drive, and the branches were coming down so that when I'd drive into my garage, the branches would sweep the hood of my car as I went in the garage. My gardener had trimmed them up a little bit, but these people were very litigious. If you did anything, and I know that Grandma had planted those trees, and so they had special dispensation. And so I wasn't about to have the trees cut, and so I was just living in that frustration. And I read The Power of Blessing. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, 5 years. It's just, see, this is why we need this lesson. We have to remember this. I read about the power of blessing, and I wrote them a letter in my head. And the first letter wasn't very compassionate. It had all the rationale and the reasoning about why they needed to clean the property up. The property values were being torn down, and all the stuff that was going on with that. But I didn't mail it, and I just kept blessing them. And I came home one day, and the limbs were trimmed up, and the yard was cut, and all the bushes were trimmed. And I thought, wow. And my gardener was standing there saying, I couldn't stand it anymore, Cherie. And he had a heart that was a blessing of making yards beautiful, right? He was living the blessing of love for beautiful yards. So that was good for like 2 weeks, because if you've ever lived in the South in the summer with the rains and the flourishing summer weather, everything grows prodigiously. It's green and it's beautiful, but it grows really fast. And so that was good for a couple of weeks. So I thought, I've just got to keep blessing this, because Mark isn't going to keep cutting their grass for free. And it was a small front yard, but still. So anyway, I decided to write the letter, but I went on a walk, and the Spirit of God said, you need to be more compassionate in this letter. You need to confer a blessing of love. And I remember that the man that lived next door, Sonny, and his mother, Grandma, we called her Grandma, they were wonderful, they were lovely, but they died within 30 days of each other. And it was the owner's father and grandmother dying, and they kind of had grown up in that house, and so now they'd moved on, and the daughter that was the owner, she and her husband were dentists, and they were very busy with this huge dental practice that they had. And so I wrote a letter, and I said, I remember you telling me when Grandma planted those birch trees, they're so beautiful. You should see how they've grown, And I just filled it with as much love as I could, and I mailed it. And I just sent it with love. And nothing happened. Like 30 days go by, and one day I walk out front, because there's a lot of noise, and this big tree removal truck has pulled up, parked in front of their house, cleaned up everything, trimmed everything, and from that point on, she made an effort to keep things a little more regularly cleaned up. And I kept up my effort, blessing her with divine love. And so when I sold my property, it was winter, and we'd had a big snowstorm, and the grass was all covered over. It looked lovely. You know how pretty properties look with new fallen snow? So anybody that drove up to buy my house thought, wow, this is beautiful. And it was. Ultimately, it was still vacant. It stayed vacant almost 9 years. And anyway, that's that. But the power to bless. Bless a thing, and it will bless you. Curse it, and it will curse you. Frustrate yourself with it, and it'll frustrate you. Agonize over it, it'll agonize with you. If you put your condemnation upon anything in life, it will hit back at you and hurt you, Emmett says. If you bless a situation, it has no power to hurt you. Even if it's troublesome for a time, it will gradually fade out of your life if you sincerely bless it. So, isn't it exciting to learn that you can confer a blessing on something and change any condition? So this week I want to invite you to take any circumstance in your life that you want to see changed for the better and bless it. Just, I bless you, I bless you, I bless you is all you need to say. It's no big involved prayer. I bless you, I bless you, I bless you. Or I bless you with love, or I confer the blessing of divine guidance. I confer the blessing of divine love. And you will be speaking the natural language of spirit. Think about that. You'll be speaking the natural language of spirit. Your mind will sync with the Christ mind, and as you persist in training your thoughts to love, training your thoughts to bless, it'll get easier and easier, and then the rewards will be so happy and wonderful for you. So let's close with an affirmation and a prayer of guidance, these words that were in these prayers that Catherine Ponder had offered for us. So take a moment and center your mind and open your mind. Charles Fillmore said, let your head be open at the top. Let the infilling of Spirit come upon you. I confer, and as you think about your life, I confer a blessing of divine guidance. Together, I confer a blessing of divine guidance. And we can ask for the truth to be made known about this situation so clear and plain that you cannot miss it. We confer a blessing of divine intelligence. I confer a blessing of divine intelligence. Together, I confer a blessing of divine intelligence. There is an answer. Divine intelligence now shows you the perfect answer to this concern. I confer a blessing of divine love. Together, I confer a blessing of divine love. Divine love is doing its perfect work in this situation now for the good of all concerned. Divine love goes before you and prepares the way. You call on the blessing of love, divine love, to work any miracle that needs working in this experience. And so it is. Amen.